Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back for another Q&A session. Right, so this is being rolled out late once again. Right, so what happened last week is that on the last week of March, right, things has been really busy for me in school, right? So I kind of lost track of like what I have to do on the channel, and then I was like, oh, I'm kind of late posting out this Q&A post, right? So at least we have a decent amount of questions nonetheless, right? So without further ado, let's kickstart this March Q&A session. Right, so for this Q&A session, I pick up like a bunch of questions, right? So I'll try my best to go through more questions, right? But I'll do like a more brief answer in a sense, right? So here's the first question: thoughts on Summoner EXP curve? Is it a bit too extreme, right? I've been stuck at level 380 to 390, okay, for more than half a year. Can't level up fast enough for team cost expansion, right? So yeah, team cost is one of the more important parts when you level up, right? Not just the extra stamina that you get, or the extra +1 maximum stamina that you get, right? Team cost, in my opinion, is more crucial when you start leveling up like late game and stuff like that, right? So level 380 to 390, that range is kind of like pretty mid-tier, right? So for me personally, I'm at level 500 plus, right? That's when like EXP curve gets really steep, you know what I mean? So for my pace, I kind of level up once a week kind of thing. So it's like, it's really slow, and sometimes when you level up, you don't really get anything other than congratulations, you level up. You know what I mean? Right, so for 380, 390, it depends whether you are free to play player or pay to play player, right? So at that point of time, what you want to focus on is really like doing like if you really farm bi-weekly battles, like the cards and stuff like that, you should be able to level up a lot of times, right? Unless you are really saving diamonds and stuff like that, then you can't be helped, because the amount of stamina you spend, right, is not as much compared to other players, and you have to take in consideration of what stages you attempt, right? What's the stamina you're burning on, like what's the stage you're burning on. So my suggestion is you might want to farm on, I think at this level you can go for Day of Gold still, right? If you have like extra, if you don't have anything to do with your stamina over the weekends, you know what I mean? Right, so number 2, do you think exclusive seal would ever get any form of upgrades? For example, Fallen Halo Amelioration, PR, etc. Satan needs a comeback. Right, so I've been talking a bit, like a brief part on the previous Q&A session, right, whether TOS is entering a new era, right? So the only series left unpower release in the original Diamond Seal is Hazard, that series, right? Pupero, Sunny, and these few cards, these 5 cards, right? Revolutionary Hero is not going to get power release, so after that we're gonna enter the new, exclusive seal era, right, in which the first individual seal would be Fallen Halos. So if they do not get a power release, I would at least expect like amelioration for them, right? Because it's about time for them to get some sort of upgrade, but most likely I believe they will get a power release, right? Because it's like up in line next. If not, there is no content left in TOS, you know what I mean? Right, so I certainly feel that Satan and Chesia, Abraham right, let's not talk about Chesia and Satan because they are still kind of playable. We have not seen Abraham since forever, right? So I believe PR is coming very soon for them. Okay, next question: what do you think Madhead is going to do with Norse gods? Right, so this has been like up in discussion. It's like a discussion among me and my TOS friends and stuff like that, right? So Norse gods, every time they get upgrade, they get pushed away once again, right? So it's like this weird a series, right, with no special play style whatsoever. It's just like a raw gameplay kind of series, right? Like there is no column. There's no, like Babylonians, you have to play by columns and stuff like that. Norse is just this basic team. So Dragonware is out of the question, right? Unless, because Dragonware doesn't give like a leader kind of thing, right? Usually members in the team gets the Dragonware. So what I can feel is the recent April Fool's event, right, where they kind of show this like add-ons or power-ups to a certain card. Right? So I believe usually when Madhead do this kind of thing, right, sooner or later it gets implemented into the game, right? Maybe a bit of twist or a bit of tweak improvements here and there, right? So about this add-on system, or what I like to call it, is like an enhancement system, right? They can do this to Norse gods in a sense that maybe not using dupes, right? I believe not every player is gonna have dupes, right? It's very tough on free-to-play players. So my suggestion is to have this to let this card, right, for example Loki, right? Loki himself enters this stage himself, right, clears the stage, gets something like a Loki essence, right? So that is kind of like a material to be stored in your inventory and stuff like that, right? So in order to give this add-on or enhance, using this enhancement system, you will need like Loki's essence and maybe like some honeymoon or swords or whatever materials that you need, right? Of course not pay to play, pay to win kind of material, like materials that you can actually farm in the game, right? Together with that Loki essence, you can forge this enhancement thing, you know, and then add on to Loki, and then he gets some buff and stuff like that. Right? So that's gonna work a long way because that doesn't interfere with whatever stats Norse gods have, right? So I feel that is a pretty good improvement, right? Hopefully it gets implemented into the game and stuff like that, and be more free to play friendly, right? that's my only hope that Madhead is gonna implement on this function. Right, let's move on to the next question. Do you think Anubis will get VR anytime soon? Right, that's question number 1. Question number 2, why does Madhead take so long to release Amelioration VR PR for outdated cards? Right, so first things first, Anubis, I think he will get VR or maybe PR. Right? I'm thinking VR because like the wedding, the Pledge of Flower Yanxi series didn't go through a PAL release and then went straight on to VR. Right, so I assume that Anubis or all the black cards are gonna get the same treatment. So first things first, next in line is not Anubis, it's gonna be Sanzang and Rakshasa, right? So if VR is gonna happen, it's gonna be happening to these two cards first, followed by Anubis, right? Because you have to queue, right? These two cards are in line first. You know what I mean? So, and it's about time that Sanzang gets a VR, because you can see that latest cards, for example, like Prologue of the Universe, we're comparing Mono Light team, right? Sanzang's multiplier is losing to Dowlof. Right? Dowlof is way more powerful than Sanzang right now, so black cards have to kind of dominate the game. So Sanzang is not at that position anymore, so some sort of improvement will be good for the two cards, right? So Madhead, why does Madhead take so long to release Amelioration, right? So in my opinion, they only release Amelioration to certain cards that actually need it, right? Some cards are good on its own, and VR and PR, right? PR, I find that they are releasing PR pretty often, right? So I don't think that they are taking very long to power release certain cards. I think at least every patch will have 1 or 2 power release. As for VR, VR is very, very subjective, right, on a certain series, like whether they need like some sort of improvement or where they are an important series in the game, right? Or maybe they are important in terms of like game storyline and stuff like that, that they have to bring them back into the game, so they give them VR. Right, so to answer the mandatory question, right, I believe that Babylonians is going to get their VR next. Right, so having said that, let's move on to the next question. Okay, so next question seems like it's related to black cards once again. Right, there's a lot of questions going on with black cards and future black cards. Right, Henry Leong asking, how is Madhead gonna upgrade future black cards? Is there a chance of a new upgrading system in the future? Right, so I think I touched on that just now, like the enhancement system. And also, what are your thoughts on dual attribute cards? Okay, how is Madhead gonna upgrade future black cards? It really depends on playstyle because not all black cards are the same. You can see that how they did it with the Water Fire Yanxi, right? They have the leader version, right, which is their original form, and then the divergent form, which is better as a member. Right, I think this applies to all Virtual Rebirth cards. Yeah, so it's like an alternate reality. So when they are leaders, they become members. When they're members, they become leader. You know, kind of thing, like the swap. So we can expect the same thing as Tan San Zhang and Rashasha, as I mentioned earlier. So the refinement form for Tan San Zhang, maybe like an increased multiplier, will be good enough, because the only thing bad about Tan San Zhang right now is the multiplier, right? It's kind of falling back a bit. So by boosting up the multiplier, it brings him back into the game immediately, right? Because he's a very, very versatile black card. As for Iron Fan Princess, I feel that she's fine currently. Like, she's like one of the more OP black cards, right? So maybe just give her a bit of a stat boost. Her attack stats is already sky high, right? So maybe a bit of stats boost and maybe increase the maximum times it launches an extra attack. That'll be good for her already. But as for how they're gonna swap roles in terms of being a member and a leader, I can't think of a solution right now, right? Let's leave that to the Madhead game development team. Okay, so what are your thoughts on dual attribute cards? So so far, technically, dual attribute cards we have in the game is Fenrir, right? Like light, semi-light dark card. So it's a light card, but dish and 50% extra attack of dark. So I feel that dual attribute card is gonna be making the game a bit imbalanced, right? Because what we have now is all single attribute cards, right? The reason why Fenrir can launch a different attribute attack is because it's technically a fusion card, and fusion card attacks twice, right? So the combination of the light and dark serious move, that makes sense, right? Because it's a combination of light and dark card, instead of comparing to other fusion cards which are all of the same attribute. So dual attribute cards, so if you were to say one single card, right, not fusion, a single card having dual attribute, how many attack is it gonna launch, right? So that's gonna be really meta changing, right? For example, if you have one team have 6 cards, or imagine all of them being dual attribute, so one turn you can launch 12 attacks. I feel that that's a bit too much, right? Even if it's launching the extra attack at 50% damage, right? So I find that it's not really gonna work in TOS. Yes, I know, like cards like games like Puzzles and Dragons have like dual attribute cards and stuff like that, but I find that it's really, really hard to balance, right? Like in the long run, it's gonna make old cards redundant because they're single attribute. We won't see the need to use them anymore because they launch like lesser attack, you know? So the overall damage calculation is gonna be super rigged, and Madhead doesn't want that, right? You can see Madhead tries to bring old cards back by like Virtual Rebirth, Power Release, Dragon Wares and stuff like that. So they do not want, like, they won't want new cards to overshadow the old ones, right? So dual attribute cards, highly unlikely, right? But if Madhead ever implements that, I would hope that they don't break the game. That's all I hope. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Next, Barton Jr. asks, what do you think of dual chaos team? Is it too weak without seal lords? Right, so in my opinion, chaos team is like one of the most versatile seal bosses as a card itself, right? As a usable card. Right, second would be like Yogg Sothoth and stuff like that. Like their leader skill doesn't restrict what cards you can put in the team, right? In fact, the most versatile will be Yogg Sothoth because it's just in general team multiplier, right? For chaos, you still have to match at least like 4 races inside to have all attributes having effects of all attributes. So no seal boss, no seal lords, right, inside as members, no problem, right? Why? It's because you can still slot in cards like Enchantress, Circe. Now of course not all 3 of them because you need to fulfill the race condition. Right, so usually what I like to put in is Circe because of her combo boost, right? And then cards like Andromeda that launches extra attack, that's massive, right? Really massive. And one very good demon card that isn't Seal Lord is Lancelot. Seal Lord is Lancelot, yeah. So Lancelot, right, once activated his second active skill, actually launched a massive amount of damage, right? So all together with like maybe Lancelot, as I mentioned, Lancelot, Circe, Andromeda, it actually this whole setup, right, actually is decent, right? Damage output and the amount of HP is really decent. So Chaos, no need to have Seal Lords in my opinion. It's still a very strong team. Alright, so next question. Do you think that Madhead will release a new series? A new series or collaboration that contains only Machina, and the team skill will be something like King of Fighters, which if team consists of only Machina, team HP, attack, recovery will be multiplied. Okay, last question. This all like two in one questions every post. Last question. Do you think that AR Dipankara Skyjob will be more pro than before AR? Okay, because PR Primal Greek Skyjob seems to be more weaker than before. Hopefully you can answer my question. Thanks. Okay, so first part of the question asking whether a new series or collaboration will contain only Machina. Right, that's possible, right? Especially when you can see Elf Perennial series is just pure Elf, right? Definitely possible, but I feel that Madhead, the approach to Machina is that they want to release slowly, right? I won't be surprised if they release like a seal based on Machina itself. That's gonna introduce more Machina gameplay, right? As you can see, what we have is the Cyborg Scholars. A Machina form is, yes, they can be leaders, but they're kind of weak, right? And the only so-called playable Machina leader now is Li Tie-Guai. So hopefully they do introduce more Machinas in the future, like slowly, right? So I believe that there will definitely be one seal with pure Machina, right? As we can see previously when they introduced the demon race, there was this entire series based on demons, right? Lü Bu, Achilles, Beowulf, Minamoto, right? That is super long time ago. Right? So yes, definitely they will slowly introduce more Machinas into the meta, right? And then lastly, Dipankara, their Skydrop, I would think that they will still maintain their playstyle, right? Maybe AR is going to give them like some sort of extra multiplier if they accumulate a certain amount of runes dissolve. That's what I feel, right? That they are going to do with Dipankara. And as for Primal Greeks, I feel that their Skyjob is still the same. You have to understand how their Skyjob works, right? For Ponters as well as Erebus, because I feel that their Skyjob is literally the same because the only thing that changed is their multiplier and their active skill. Yeah. So nonetheless, they are very reliant on Skyjob, very much the same as Greek gods. So we can't really like complain about their playstyle because that's how that's the fun of playing Pontus and Erebus, right? It's supposed to be random. You're not supposed to expect like, oh, there's gonna be so much damage every turn, right? It's more of this RNG kind of playstyle, right? So TOS plays around different kind of playstyles for different series or even among the series. So for Pontus and Erebus, it's more RNG based. So don't be so serious about their playstyle, right? So let's move on to the next question. What are your expectations in AR Investiture of Gods and VR Babylonians? Why does it take Mad Head forever to release a new skin? Look at Pisces skin and sigh. Okay, so 2 questions once again. This is like multiple questions. So, expectation for AR Investiture. So basically what I mentioned earlier for Yang Jian and Dipankara, their AR skill shouldn't be too far away from their playstyle, right? So what I feel is that maybe when X amount of hard runes or fire runes dissolve, team attack times maybe 1.5 additionally and stuff like that, right? That's gonna boost their playstyle. Or maybe introduce a bit of whatever runes, enchanted runes sky drop, that would be good, right? So hopefully it's more like a buff, right? For introduction of skill, I'm not so sure how are they gonna do it, right? Let's see, what else do we have? Wenzong. Wenzong is gonna be interesting because he's gonna be one of the unique cards out there that actually gets this AR function, right? For like his equivalent, for example Himdall, Yun Yang, Yan, and C, right? They are not gonna get this AR function, not now at least, right? So it'll be cool to see what Wenzong's skill is gonna be like. I can't really think of a skill right now, right? Maybe increased chance of drop rate, but that's already in his amelioration. So we'll see. For Shen Gong Bao, Shen Gong Bao plays around his Trojan leader skill back then, right? So what I feel is that maybe his active skill or his AR skill can play around his Trojan to bring him back as a meta leader, right? So now the lower the HP, the higher the attack for yourself, right? It's a bit hard to maintain unless you bring in cards like Papa Ver, the Soul Master card and stuff like that, right? Maybe you can have a change in active skill, maybe like Papa Ver, right? Activated, it's going to be like an Enchantress effect. Every step you move, you're going to minus a certain amount of HP, and then the lower the HP, the higher the attack, right? So that makes Shen Gong Bao more playable. Right, for Jiang Ziya, same as Wenzong, I can't really think of a skill right now. We're going to see how Mad Head is going to do it. And why Mad Head take forever to release a skin, right? Personally, I feel that they kind of forgot, because Guan Yu, let's take Guan Yu for example, right? When they are in meta, when the vote came out as Guan Yu is going to get a new skin, right? They should have done it, they should have pushed it out straight away, because now Guan Yu having a skin doesn't even matter because no one's actually playing her. Okay, and then for Pisces skin, I believe that they totally forgot about it, because if you notice, it is actually a Chinese New Year skin, and it's like 2 months after Chinese New Year already. So let me ask Mad Head stuff about this, right? Maybe they really forgot, right? Who knows? Right, let's move on to the next question. Right, so next question asks, are you excited for Hunter x Hunter's collaboration? Right, I think I'm gonna get like a lot of hateful remarks about this, right? So actually I'm looking forward to Crash Fever more than Hunter x Hunter, right? So reason number 1 is because I played Crash Fever, right? Their BGM is awesome, right? Their BGM is, I would prefer Crash Fever BGM over TOS BGM, right? Just saying. And it's been around before, right? Like Crash Fever, so the hype is there, right? Like, oh, Crash Fever's coming back now with a new individual seal, we can draw Crash Fever characters, right? The hype is there for me. Right, for Hunter x Hunter, okay, reason number 2 is because that I don't watch Hunter x Hunter, right? So those of you who have watched the anime, please tell me how is the anime like, right? Maybe let me know whether like there's multiple series, is there like season 1, season 2, season 3, right? And how many episodes are there. So if it's a kind of a short anime, I'll go and maybe binge watch everything and understand more about Hunter x Hunter, right? If it's some long ass anime like One Piece, which is like 400 500 episodes, then I might consider watching it. Right? So overall, for me, I don't really understand much about Hunter x Hunter, so I can't really comment about that, right? But of course, I'm looking forward to it. That's about it. Right, so let's move on to the next one. When do you think will be the next Black Card event, and who will be in it? Alright, so basically, what I predicted, considering that Chinese New Year is a comeback for Tan San Zhang and Iron Fan Princess, right? So with the usual time gap between each Black Card events, I predict that the next one is going to be either May-June period, right? So it might drop in the middle of a Hunter x Hunter collaboration, right? That is possible, right? Because we have like Maya dropping in the middle of like a certain patch. I can't remember which patch was it, and Atlantis was the same as well, right? So we can expect like a surprise Black Card event in the middle of a patch that is going on, right? And who will be in it? I believe that now with Sanzang and Iron Fan Princess being like so not so a bit underwhelming now, but I believe that everybody is gonna be in the Ancient Coin Seal, right? If that's what you are referring to, and then you guys can try your best to draw the other black cards, right, during the event, right, via the Ancient Seal. Yeah, right. So let's move on to the next one. Right, so this will be the final question of the day, asking, do you think that enemies should get animations as well, such as if you get hit, they will perform their animation, right? Or maybe when they attack, they'll do their animation and then you receive the damage. Right, so this is very like Chronos Gate-like, right? But I won't say that it's not possible for them to implement it. But the problem is how much data is it gonna be? Is it too much for a phone game? Right, so as you can see, as every patch comes in, there is like this game update, right? So by adding like this animation for characters and stuff like that, it might be too much for the game, like in terms of the file size. So, but I believe that it is entirely possible, right? Of course, not for mini-mobs. Maybe mini-mobs, they can leave it as like static images, like what we have now, right? Maybe for mini-boss or the boss, like I can totally imagine Lucifer Nightmare mode. When you reach the boss, it is floating, it is flying, and it's moving. Right? It's gonna be a lot more interesting to play. Right? It makes the game more real and more dynamic. Right? So might be a good implementation. Right? I can maybe PM Mahit staff and give them this suggestion. Right? Okay, so that concludes March edition of the Q&A session. Right, so you can see that I can see that there is like this massive questions incoming, right, despite having this late post. So I really appreciate all of you guys who sent in the questions. So in order to prevent this Q&A for dragging on too long, right, of course I want to answer as many questions as possible. I really love all the questions, but I really have to keep it as not too long of a Q&A session. So for those who really keen to ask me like questions, you can drop me a PM on my Facebook page, or you can ask me directly during a live stream that I have at any point. Okay, so that's all for this Q&A session. Hopefully you guys like this one. Leave a like if you did, and then as usual, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.